Hook challenging assumptions. Every government tells the same story. We borrowed too much. But what if that explanation is incomplete? What if nations aren't failing because they're irresponsible, but because the system was designed so they could never escape debt in the first place? Here's the mystery. Countries grow, populations work, resources are extracted, taxes are collected. Yet almost every nation on Earth is permanently in debt, and the debt only grows. If everyone owes money, who exactly are they owing it to? And why does paying it back never seem to end? Tonight, we're pulling apart the hidden system that keeps nations owing forever, not through accidents, but through design. For most of human history, national debt was rare and temporary. Empires raised money for wars or emergencies, then paid it off. Kings feared debt because debt meant dependence on merchants, lenders, or rival powers. In medieval Europe, rulers who borrowed too much lost sovereignty. Creditors didn't just demand interest, they demanded influence. So for centuries, the rule was simple. A nation that controls its money controls its future. That rule quietly changed. The shift didn't happen overnight. It happened through banks, wars, and something that sounded harmless: stability. The modern system begins in the late 1600s. England is exhausted from war. The crown is broke. A group of private financiers offers a solution. They lend the government money if they re-allowed to create a central bank. In 1694, the Bank of England is born. This is the first turning point. Instead of the government creating money directly, it now borrows money into existence, paying interest on its own currency. Debt stops being a temporary emergency tool. It becomes structural. From this moment on, money enters the economy as interest-bearing debt. That detail changes everything. Because interest is never created alongside the principal. Meaning, there is always more debt owed than money available to repay it. The system now requires perpetual borrowing to avoid collapse. Over the next 200 years, this model spreads. Central banks appear across Europe, then across colonies, then across the world. Each one promises the same benefits: stable currency, controlled inflation protection from political abuse. But behind the promise is a quiet trade-off. Governments surrender direct monetary control. In exchange, they gain access to endless credit. Wars accelerate this shift. World War I explodes national debts. World War II finishes the job. After 1944, the Bretton Woods system locks nations into a dollar-centered global order. Currencies are pegged. Trade is stabilized. But again, money enters economies through borrowing. When the gold standard finally collapses in 1971, something unprecedented happens. Money is no longer tied to anything physical. No gold, no silver, no limit. Only confidence and debt. From that point forward, every new dollar, euro, or yen is created through loans. Debt is no longer a side effect of money. Debt is the money. Here's the core trap. Governments don't borrow because they're reckless. They borrow because the system demands it. Taxes can't fully fund governments anymore, because removing too much money from circulation would collapse the economy. So deficits are permanent. When debt grows too large, central banks step in, lowering interest rates, printing money, or buying government bonds. This delays collapse, but increases dependency. Every crisis strengthens the system. Crashes justify bailouts. Bailouts justify money creation. Money creation increases debt. Debt increases control. The illusion is that debt is the problem. In reality, debt is the fuel. Eventually, the math breaks down. We've seen it before. Weimar, Germany, Argentina, Greece, Sri Lanka debt grows faster than real production. Interest consumes budgets. Austerity follows. Social trust collapses. But notice the pattern. When nations fail, creditors don't disappear. Debt is restructured, assets are sold, sovereignty erodes, ports, utilities, land, and infrastructure quietly change hands. The debt system doesn't collapse, it consolidates. Permanent debt creates permanent leverage. Nation in debt must follow market rules, protect investor confidence, prioritize repayment over citizens' policy, becomes predictable. Elections change faces, not direction. This is why Crises lead to the same solutions bailouts favor. The same institutions inequality rises. Regardless of party, debt isn't just financial. It's political. Governments try everything. Spending cuts, tax hikes, inflation growth, stimulus, but none of it removes the core issue. Because the system cannot function without expanding debt. Even debt forgiveness often resets the cycle rather than ending it. Each fix treats symptoms, none touch the design. Today, global debt exceeds $300 trillion. It's over 3 times global GDP. Interest payments alone now rival military budgets. Central banks print more money than ever, yet living standards stagnate. Sound familiar? Every generation is told, work harder, save more, trust the system, yet the system requires more debt tomorrow than today. The same pattern repeats, only bigger. This is the hidden truth. The goal was never to eliminate debt. The goal was to normalize it, a world where governments roll debt forever. Citizens accept inflation as normal. Control operates through finance, not force. Debt becomes invisible, and permanence becomes policy. First, national debt is not a failure. It's a feature of modern money creation. Second, interest-based money guarantees perpetual borrowing at every level. Third, financial power today is exercised through dependency, not ownership. Systems built on endless growth eventually meet finite reality. The question isn't if this system changes. It's how and who pays the price when it does. If you want more breakdowns of hidden financial systems, historical money traps, and economic truths rarely discussed, subscribe. Because understanding the system is the first step towards seeing beyond it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.